Sometimes there were some stressful scenes in this movie. Did you feel that stress? Did you feel that drama?
I don't think that I did. It was like a fun environment.
When you're working with people you trust and you have a script that everyone's genuinely excited about, I think it leads to being able to have a bit more fun on set.
You guys would regularly break into song. It was like a damn musical being there. All the time. They had whole dance numbers. I think you guys prepared it off set.
There was a full musical number that got cut from the final cut of the film, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. For those who do not know, what's the relationship dynamic between Kat's character, my character, and your character?
Oh, that's a great question, Matt.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and break it down for you. So you and I are married in this film. Things get a little wonky, and that's where the lovely, beautiful Kat comes in. And she sort of throws a wrench into everything. And
I don't know. Wonky, what do you mean by wonky?
Questionable. Wonky.
Is Kat the wrench? Or is something else the wrench? Who's the real, where's the real wrench come from?
Well, isn't that
what you're trying to do here?
I think it's sort of inside ourselves is the wrench.
Okay, so Owen and Brooke, things are great, but some issues start to arise. First of all, in my character's defense, I feel like it's a very pivotal point in her life and her career. She is having her first big gallery opening. She's really like stepping out on her own and trying to make this work. She's under a lot of stress. And then all of a sudden everyone around her is talking about infidelity, and her best friend's a divorce lawyer and talking about how everyone cheats and you can't trust men these days. And she's just seeing these signs everywhere. And obviously with what Owen does, sneaking out late at night, and she's seeing all these texts from Sarah. And I'm like, who the heck is this Sarah girl? These texts are a little wonky, as I said.
Well, now let's be serious here. He's working.
Well, and it's one of those situations too where as human beings we often tend to collect signs and sort of see things.
Yeah.
If somebody says, oh, you're going to see the number 27 everywhere, you'll see the number 27 everywhere, even if you wouldn't have noticed it before. But what I love about the dynamic in all of these characters is the fact that no one is 100% to blame because they're all culpable in one way or another. Each one of them choices along the way that create this dynamic and further the dynamic. And
exactly.
And at any point, any one of them, Amy included, could have said, you know what, I'm going to step away from this because I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
But each one of them makes choices that, lead to a film that hopefully people enjoy.
So it's fair to say it's a complex situation, our relationship.
I'm really curious to know from the two of you, what drew you to the film and to these roles to begin with?
It's kind of like a romantic whodunit in a way. And there are lots of twists and turns. And I feel like at one moment you think that you know what's happening. And then like you get new information and you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. And so I was definitely on the edge of my seat when I was reading the script, and I found it very interesting. And it films in New York. Whenever I learned that something is going to film in New York, it just makes me that much more excited to do it and to want to do it. Yeah, Christmas time in New York, it's pretty magical. So there are a lot of really magical aspects about it that got me excited. What about you?
I think, you mentioned the script. I think that when I got the script, I sat down and read it, and I was expecting not a lot because you never know. You always go into reading a script and you're kind of like, okay, don't get, this is going to be another kind of something where I'm going to have to talk to people to sort of interpret what their real intention is with it and how they're going to stylize it. And in this case, when I read it, I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm getting thrown for a loop. And then my expectations of what's going to happen don't play out. And I say, oh, this is quite good. This is very good. So I was really excited after reading it. And I think I immediately called you, Vic.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like it was going to work. And then I found out that you, Kat, were on it. And I was like, well, this is just shaping up real nice.
I think when I first read the script, again, like both of you, I didn't really know 100% what to expect. Because they send you a little description and you go, okay, this could be just about anything. I got the script, I think a year or so before we shot it. It got sent to me, and we were doing Shadowhunters at that point, Matt. And so I'd been doing a lot of supernatural things and a lot of things that weren't very grounded in reality. And I loved this story because it was so rooted in just normalcy and humanity and a situation that could happen to anybody walking down the street, in a sense. You know, it's 4 people in 3 very real, very messed up relationships. There is no black and white. And I loved seeing the situation play out over and over again, where each time you get a different nugget of information that you can piece together what really happened, and it sort of subverts all of your expectations for each one of these characters.
We've all worked together before in some capacity, Matt and I, and Kat and Matt. So what I want to know is, what is the level of trust that we have in real life like versus the level of trust that our characters have in this film?
When you're working with someone, especially in these sort of situations and relationships, you want to have someone you trust and someone you know is going to have your back, but also someone that you can just play with and try something different and know that they go with you and take these different turns and your journey. And if you get an idea, you can throw something out there and they'll play tennis with you, as it were, when it comes to the, you know, the ping pong ball of scene work. Something I think is interesting is that, at least story-wise, I think our levels of trust almost grow and shrink inversely. I think as Owen and Brooke's trust sort of wane, Owen and Amy's trust grows almost.
When you were first reading the script, were you surprised that your character gave into temptation? Like, is that where you saw things going?
I mean, given the information available and the circumstances and the fact that Owen is frankly in a stagnant place in his life, he's struggling and he's trying now to make something more of things. He has conflict with his wife. Story-wise, I mean, he's kind of gotta. But also, Owen, I think he's a better guy than that. But I think that, you know, he got bamboozled by you, Kat.
By me?
Yeah, I mean, you're ultimately at fault here.
Oh, I beg to differ.
Explain why.
Well, I think Amy is at fault partially, but I think everyone's at fault in a certain, you know, Amy was hired by someone. Everybody's a consenting adult in the situation, making choices of their own accord. I would say she's the catalyst, but I think there are several catalysts for this situation happening. But I would say I'm surprised in a sense that Amy took that turn, because she is so pragmatic when it comes to her career focus and her sort of detachment from this side job that she has.
You know, actually, you're saying something here I haven't really thought about, but yeah, you actually had a job, and that job was to not do what you did. Like, literally, the job you were hired for was to not do what you ended up doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah? You accepted money.
Yeah.
You didn't do your job.
But I gave money back.
You gave money back. I mean, you know, that's a refund.
Like, as far as my character goes, I think it's going to be a bit of a debate after people see this film. I think people are going to be like, well, did she cheat? Did she not? I think that's going to be fun. So I'm going to let people kind of choose for themselves what they think happened.
I agree.
So Vic, I'm curious to know, audiences have obviously grown up with you, and now that you're stepping into a more adult role, playing a married woman, all of this, how is that for you? How's that been?
It's been exciting. I think, you know, it makes sense for the age that I am right now. And I think my audience is like ready to see me do and take on more mature roles. That was one of the things that I loved about this part and about this movie, is that it was something that was sexy and it was more mature. And I think I was really ready to kind of like step into that world and into that light. So it was fun. I liked it.
Okay, so there's a lot going on in this film. There's a lot of relationships, a lot of themes, a lot of different aspects flying around. What do you two think thematically audiences are going to attach to and relate to most in the film?
That real life is not so black and white. It's not like your outfit, Vic. Things are not so clear. And the people who are at fault and who's to blame, there's not such a clear answer all the time. Everyone plays little parts and makes little mistakes and errors, and that's why real life is interesting, because we have all those layers to every single problem that we encounter. Especially relationships are like that, because it's never just one person, or usually not one person. The big thing we'd always talk about is like, who's, you know, today, who are we feeling like is really the one who's worse, and it's not clear.
nothing is straightforward in life, and particularly in relationships. And that can lead to a lot of question marks as to how things play out. This film sort of explores every aspect of that, or at least as many as we can fit into these 3 distinct relationships.
Okay, guys. So to wrap this up, I'm very curious to know, what was your favorite part about creating this film? And what will you take away from it as a person, as an actor, after?
I honestly, I like filming back in New York. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Especially right before everything happened. And it was nice to be in all those really New York places. The movie has a very strong New York feel. I really like that Owen is a New Yorker. I don't know, that kind of resonates with me. And I think that people are going to like that.
You know, for me, it's getting to work with such great people on a story that has so many facets, and you can really dive in and explore all of these relationships in ways that are not straightforward and that are not necessarily what people would expect on the surface, which is all you can ask for as an actor is multi-dimensional situations.
Yeah. And walking away from the movie and feeling good. It felt good to film that movie.
Just all around, I would say it was a really creative and positive experience, and a safe space to play and have fun, and working with such great people like Brian and you guys was awesome. And yeah, I'm so grateful and that we got to do this movie, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Damn right.
Yeah.